is. How are you doing? I hope December is treating you well. And I hope you're prepared for a nice, wonderful holiday season and you have a great Merry Christmas. So, what I'm going to do is a gift to myself and my family. I am going to restart my sourdough. I let it go May of 2023. We went on a trip. It kind of floundered and I let it go. I let it go and I haven't restarted yet. I keep meaning to do that. I have actually made this video a couple times, but I'm committed now. I want us to jumpstart our health with the new year, really be proactive. And I do think sourdough can do that. I know for me personally, my GS system is much better, much more resilient when I am consuming sourdough regularly. And when I've got discard, I add that to everything. Everything. Meatballs, biscuits, whatever. You can ask my family. They kind of get tired of me trying to sneak it in. But I know it's helpful. I know it's good for them. So we're going to get started. This is going to be a progressive video because I'm going to be feeding and discarding about every 12 hours, as much as I can over the next week or so until we build up a nice, strong sourdough. So I'm going to take you along. I'm glad you're here. It is a few days later and I'm ready to start. It's actually December 22nd. We're getting really close to Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. I'm going to be doing a lot of baking over the next few days. So I will be in the kitchen a lot. So I thought, this is it. No more procrastination. So I've got a bag of all-purpose flour. You don't have to have organic. This is just what I have. So I'm going to use, I also like to use King Arthur. That's a favorite of mine, but I have this right now. And I've got my jars. You can just use old spaghetti jars, you know, some kind of jar that you have rinsed and dried and cleaned out well. Ideally, a wide rim would be best. I just happen to have all these from my prior years or attempts at sourdough. I've got 1 cup of lukewarm water. You may want to use non-chlorinated water. I like my sourdough to be very flexible and very much used to what I'm going to use every day. I am not going to take the time to use unchlorinated water. I'm just not. I'm going to use probably water out of my sink, out of the tap. And so I need my sourdough to get used to being a little bit neglected, just to be very user-friendly for me. And I need it to survive with the type of care I'm willing to give to it. It's not going to be the best. It's not going to be ideal. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to work. And mostly, like I said, we're going to use this for discard. Eventually, I would like it to get nice and strong. I'd love to have a really strong sourdough once again in my house, but we'll still be happy just with the process, the journey, and all of those delicious discard recipes I will be making. And this will be my discard jar. I've got a sink full of hot soapy water over there. I'm gonna give it a quick wash, rinse, and then dry it. This is what I will keep in the fridge to put all of my discard into. And so discard will be the discarded product that we throw out when we feed our starter. But I'm not going to throw it out. I'm going to use it. I feel like it's very therapeutic and beneficial, and I think it really adds to the baking, the taste, that nice tangy flavor. And one recipe I love so much, and now that I'm thinking about it, I really want to make it. I don't have any fresh zucchini right now from the garden, but if I purchased some zucchini, we could make sourdough fritters. They are so delicious. It's a lot of discard. You don't even taste it. It's just so good. All right, so we are ready to get started with our brand new sourdough starter. We will be taking this into the new year. I've just have 1 cup of all-purpose flour. You can see why the wide lid there really comes in nice to have. And I'm going to add 1 cup of the water. So I have purchased dehydrated starters in the past, and then you get that packet with this really detailed booklet, and it just seems so intimidating. So what I'm using today is just a super simple, what I think is super simple sourdough starter. It's from Farmer's Almanac website. I'll put the link in the description. It's equal parts, and I like to do things simple. So this recipe is perfect for me because it's equal parts. It's 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of water, and when we do our discard, we're just going to take half, and then we're going to add 1 cup of water, 1 cup of flour again, and we're just going to keep repeating that process every 12 to 24 hours until we get that nice, strong sourdough. And there we go. So now we have started the process. I'm going to put a coffee filter over this. Let's see, and a rubber band. I'm going to put this on my kitchen counter or somewhere in the kitchen that's relatively nice and warm. I don't want to put it near like a draft or a cool spot. I'm going to keep it nice, not hot, not super warm. You know, like at night, you might want to stick it on top of your counter where your dishwasher's running. And there we go. Now my discard, I'm going to keep in the fridge so that I have some on hand when I want to make some recipes. And I will be back tomorrow to let you see what this looks like. Because it's late right now. It's dark, so I'm not going to feed it twice today. We're just going to get this guy started. And there we go. He's all tucked in and ready for the night. And so, you know, there's yeast all around us. It's in the air. You know, it's just part of our environment. So hopefully, you know, some of that yeast is attracted into my sourdough. And the flour will help feed. And the water will keep it hydrated. Alrighty, so it's the next day. And you can see I don't have a lot of bubbling. A little bit of bubbling, which is pretty good in my opinion, because we just started. So what I'm going to do is discard about half or half a cup, and then I'm going to put in 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of water, just like we did yesterday, and mix it up. Probably I'm not going to do anything with the discard today since we just started. And yeah, because it quickly builds up, you know, and I just made that lemon loaf last night. Look at how much is left. So I'm not going to be really baking much more this morning or today. So, except for cookies, but you know how that is. It's December 23rd. So let me go ahead and discard, refeed, rehydrate, and then we're going to put this band on and we're going to mark the level that we're at today after feeding. A little bit better view. Definitely have some bubble action going on. Now the reason I like this recipe is because it's super simple. I'm not pulling out scales to measure the water in grams, the flour in grams. I'm just keeping it super simple, super flexible. Just going to discard half. We're going to put in the flour, put in the water, mix it really well, put our little coffee filter back on, put a rubber band on, and then we're good to go for 12 to 24 hours. Since I'm kind of busy with all the holiday stuff, it's probably going to get fed every 24 this week, but we'll see. And so Tonto was watching me. I'm like putting my nose in here and smelling. It doesn't smell like sourdough yet. It smells very much like flour. So I'm not going to use the discard like I said, but I am going to go ahead and you can see the bubbles there. I'm going to get rid of half and get us set up for tomorrow. And maybe tomorrow I will use the discard for pancakes. We'll see. Measuring. I'm just eyeballing. Remember, I want my sourdough dough to be super flexible, super able to just be adaptable. And I'm just guessing that, yeah, that's about half. And you guys can see how this can get super messy, super fast. And that's why I like to have a second jar on hand. So that in a day or two, when this starts to get on my nerves because it's so gross and kind of clumpy and messy, I will just take the discard over to the clean jar and add my feed and my water for the day. And then I'll wash this one and we'll start the process all over again. So I'm going to time warp the next many days, but I am going to put this rubber band on to about that level so I will know where I started, and we will be able to track our progress as we get more bubbles and growth and see how much this rises. Merry Christmas, guys. It's Christmas morning, and look at our sourdough Look at how much it grew overnight. It is popping. Oh, it's popping out of the top. So I'm going to make some sourdough discard yeast rolls for tonight's dinner. Hope you guys have a wonderful, peaceful day. The rolls turned out excellent for Christmas dinner. I made 2 big pans. I had doubled the recipe, so that meant I used double the sourdough discard. And they're still really nice and soft today, which is so cool. I had one for breakfast with some ham and hash brown casserole. It was a great little breakfast. And so it's actually afternoon right now, and I forgot to feed my sourdough this morning. And you can tell it's starting to get hungry. It was poofed up. Like, this coffee filter was poofed up really, really, really early this morning. And then I guess we got to the point where my starter was getting hungry. So it started to deflate. And you can see this water down at the bottom. And that's another sign that your starter is hungry. So yesterday was the day that I switched to a new jar. And so I put my water at the bottom of the jar. Then I put in my flour for the feeding. And then I put in my sourdough starter after I had taken away half. Mixed it all up. But evidently, you know, maybe I didn't mix it well enough. And because I had put the water down at the bottom, that's kind of where you're seeing this liquidy stuff now. Usually you'll see the water up at the top. I think they call that hooch, H-O-O-C-H. And, you know, that can be a sign that your starter's getting hungry. And it's not a bad thing. Now, yesterday when I worked with this sourdough starter, it was very elastic and almost slime-like. I don't know if you've ever made slime with your kids. But yeah, it had a beautiful sliminess to it. So it looks like when this poofed up, this coffee filter got wet. And that is why I'm having a hard time getting it off. But it is time to feed. And we're just going to keep working this same process over and over, you know, for at least, I'd say, a good 10, 14 days. And then we will have a nice, strong sourdough starter. Look at all those bubbles. Can you see the bubbles? I don't know. Can you see them? The sun's coming in right now. I have a feeling this is going to be an excellent starter for me this time. I'm going to keep it relatively fed. Like I said, my sourdough starter needs to be neglected a little bit. You know, I'm not going to feed it at the same time every day. So I think maybe one of the last things I wanted to talk to you guys about with the sourdough and your starter, once it is strong, so after that 10 to 14 days, you can start putting it in the fridge and just take it out once a week to feed it. You know, when you want to use it. Some people only make a loaf of bread once a week. They take their sourdough starter out once a week. They feed it. Look at all that gooiness. That is just beautiful. And they just keep it going like that. They don't keep it out on the counter every day. If you're going to be baking a lot and using your discard every single day, I would recommend just keeping it out on the counter. Looks like I'm going to have to switch to a new jar again today because of this kind of bubbly explosion. But I'm really happy with this starter. And like I said, I'm going to put the link to the Farmer's Almanac page where I found this recipe. This is like the superest, easiest version I have ever done. And there is another link on their website that was much more complicated, that had potatoes. Did y'all see that beautiful bubble that just popped? And I was like, I'm not going to do that. And I've done the powders before that you buy and you start, and the directions are so long. I just don't have the patience for that. I need a very flexible, easy sourdough starter. And I'm so happy with this version so far. And these rows are so awesome. So I'm thinking today with my discard, I'm going to make another round of rows, but I'm not going to bake them. I'm just going to go through all the steps, get to the point where they're on their final rise as the shape of a dough ball, like a little roll ball. And then I'm going to go ahead and freeze them. So essentially I'll have like a bag of the Rhodes frozen dough balls that you buy at the store, because I don't want to waste this good discard. So if you have any questions, just post them below. Not an expert on sourdough. I'm just doing the best I can, but I want to do it the easiest, quickest way possible with the best outcome. talk to you soon, guys. Hope you liked the video. If you're starting sourdough for 2025, comment below and let me know. Bye.